Hi, so today we'll be doing an intro to the planets. In this lesson, students will learn the different characteristics of the planets in our solar system. Some skills you'll acquire include the basic understanding of the planets and the order our planets are in the solar system. Let's start off by remembering the order the planets are in, starting with closest to the Sun. We have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and lastly Neptune. For some, it might be a bit difficult to remember, so by memorizing this sentence, my very excited mother just showed us nachos. It might be a bit easier, and the first letter of each word is what the planets start with. However, as you can see, Mercury and Mars both start with an M, so to avoid making the mistake of mixing them up, remember that my ends with a Y, just like Mercury does, and Mars doesn't. Let's start off with the closest planet to the Sun. We have Mercury. It is 36 miles away. Although it's the closest, it's not considered the hottest, but it is the smallest planet in our solar system. It has a solid surface covered with craters and is a terrestrial planet. It has no atmosphere as well as no moons. One day on Mercury is about 59 Earth days, and 1 year on Mercury is 88 Earth days. It contains a molten core, and during the daytime, its temperatures can reach up to 800 degrees Fahrenheit, and during the night, drop down to negative 290 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, we have the planet Venus, which is actually the hottest planet in our solar system. It contains mountains and volcanoes. It has a thick atmosphere, and like Mercury, doesn't contain any moons. A day on Venus is 243 Earth days, and a year on Venus lasts 225 Earth days. Venus spins in the opposite direction of the Earth, and it's also a terrestrial planet, meaning it's small and rocky. Now we have the planet Earth, which is the planet that we live on. It is the third planet from the Sun in our solar system. It's the only planet known to be capable of supporting life. It is small and rocky, otherwise known as a terrestrial planet. It contains one moon and a thick atmosphere. One day on Earth is 24 hours, and 1 year on Earth is 365.25 days. You might be wondering why there's a 0.25, and that's because every 4 years we need to add 1 day to our calendar, which we call a leap day. The next planet is Mars. It is called the red planet because of the rusty iron in its ground. It's half the size of Earth. It contains seasons, polar ice caps, volcanoes, canyons, and weather just like Earth. Has a thin atmosphere that contains carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and argon. 1 day on Mars is 24.6 hours, and 1 year on Mars is 687 Earth days. It also has 2 moons named Phobos and Deimos. Next is Jupiter, which is the largest planet in our solar system. It is a gas giant. It is made of mostly hydrogen and helium, and it doesn't have any solid surface. It's similar to a star, but isn't big enough to burn. It contains rings, but are too faint to be seen. It's covered in swirling cloud stripes and has big storms. It has a thick atmosphere and 79 moons. 1 day on Jupiter is 10 hours, and 1 year on Jupiter is 10.8 Earth years. Now we have the planet Saturn. The rings seen on Saturn are actually tiny ringlets made from ice and rocks. It contains 7 rings, each having a gap between them. Has a thick atmosphere and contains 53 moons. There's an additional 29 moons awaiting confirmation of discovery, totaling to 82 moons. This planet is made of helium and hydrogen. 1 day on Saturn is 10.5 hours, and 1 year on Saturn is 29 Earth years. Twice every 29.5 years, Saturn appears ringless, and that's because from where we viewed on Earth, it looks like it doesn't have any rings, but that's actually an optical illusion. As you can tell, of May 1995, you can't see the rings, but in December of 1994, you can see them. Now we have the planet Uranus. It's made of water, methane, and ammonia fluids. Methane is actually what gives the planet its blue color. It's the only planet to spin on its side, 4 times wider than the Earth, 1.8 billion miles away from the Sun. 1 day is 17 hours, and 1 year is 87 Earth years. It has an atmosphere that contains hydrogen, helium, and a little bit of methane. And it also has faint rings where the inner rings are narrow and dark, while the outer rings are brightly colored. Now we've reached the farthest planet from the Sun. We have Neptune. It's about 2.8 billion miles away. It's very dark, cold, and windy. It's an ice giant made from water, ammonia, and methane like Uranus. Methane is also what gives this planet its blue color. Its atmosphere is made of hydrogen, helium, and methane. It contains 6 rings, but they're actually very hard to see. Has a solid core about the size of the Earth. 1 day on Neptune is 16 hours, while 1 year on Neptune is 165 Earth years. Like I mentioned, it's the farthest planet from the sun, and it contains 13 moons and one more moon that's waiting confirmation of its discovery. Now that we've done an overview of all the planets, here's a fun song that might help you get a better understanding of them.
Hopscotch! We've all come from a place, the entire human race depends upon our planet, racing through outer space. And there are 8 planets that orbit around the sun. Come on, we'll introduce you and name them one by one. Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune.
I'm Mercury, the smallest planet you see. You humans could never live on me. My atmosphere's too thin and I orbit too fast. My days are long.
About 60 Earth days, as a matter of fact.
I am Venus, my atmosphere's super hot. I spin backwards in a way the Earth does not. I am closest to the Earth in distance and size. I have no moons, I hope you can sympathize.
I'm Earth, the planet that you're on, you know. I'm terrestrial but covered in H2O. I collide with things that I can't avoid, but my atmosphere protects me from meteoroids.
I'm Mars and you can jump higher on me because I have a third of Earth's gravity. I hear you plan to visit soon. I'll be your first destination since the moon.
I'm Jupiter with my 79 moon crew, like Io and S2003.
J2!
Yeah, you could say I have a pretty large girth. Here's a storm twice the size of your mama Earth.
My name's Saturn, check out my pretty rings. These rings are a few of my favorite things. I'm a giant made of hydrogen and helium. And please stop hitting me with things.
My name's Uranus and I'm an ice giant.
That's dope.
I was the first planet found with the telescope. I rotate backwards and on my side I smell like rotten eggs, but that's just the hydrogen sulfide.
I'm Neptune, I'm the windiest planet around. I got supersonic winds that's faster than sound. An ice giant with 13 moons and a dark vortex that may go away soon. And I'm Pluto, and I will not be forgotten.
Pluto. Beautiful, but yeah, we've been over this, and you're considered a dwarf planet these days, so...
Girl, I'm the biggest object in the Kuiper Belt.
Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Sing along real strong for the next tune. Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune.
And I guess not Pluto.
So that's the end of the video. Here is a short worksheet where you just identify the planets, writing their names from close to the sun to the farthest. You can pause the video if you need more time, but we'll continue on to the answers. Here are the answers. We'll start off with close to the sun. At the very bottom, we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Hopefully you got all of them right, and that's the end of this presentation about the intro to the planets. A little bit about the author. My name is Nia. I'm a 10th grader, and during my free time I enjoy ice skating with my friends, and I really love to eat ice cream. Thank you for listening, and hopefully you learned a lot about the planets.